Welcome back everyone to a year of Final Fantasy, and guess what? We've entered the month of June, the month of Odin, and June is going to be a really special month for us. It's going to be our 1 year anniversary launching this Crystarium network. It's my personal birthday as well, and as it stands, from what I see, Final Fantasy VI will be the 50th video of this year of Final Fantasy. That's just totally insane and crazy to me. Anyway, though we've left last month behind, I do want to cover something that we didn't get to with Final Fantasy V, and it's a pretty interesting one completely new to me. So what I learned, I'm going to pass on to you, and we'll all just get a little bit more information together. So what we're going to be talking about is Final Fantasy Legend of the Crystals. It's actually an anime, and even stranger, it's actually the first proper sequel of something to a Final Fantasy story ever. And what I didn't even know is that it's actually dubbed in English. I don't know how I missed this, but it's really weird with the timing of this particular anime. And what's even cooler is that you can go watch it on YouTube right now. So again, we're talking about Final Fantasy V Legend of the Crystals. It's an OVA, which is an original video animation. It's what the Japanese usually call videos that are created specifically for a home format. They're not usually released in theaters or have a wide release like that beforehand. And like I said, I had not seen it before, so I did watch it in preparation for this video, and it is interesting. And that's all I'll say about that right now. It's divided up into 4 chapters, which is Wind, Fire, and then you would think, you know, Earth or Water. Nope, it's Wind, Fire, Dragon, and Star. So anyway, each chapter of this Wind, Fire, Dragon, and Star, they're about 30 minutes apiece, and you can combine them all, obviously, for a full 2-hour video. It was released over the span of a few months in Japan from March 21st, 1994 to July 21st, 1994, and later it made its way overseas to the States on November 24th, 1998 to VHS. It was never released or remastered or anything like that on DVD as far as I can tell, at least in an official format. Now I'm sure people have, you know, ripped the VHS and put it on DVDs, but other than that, you're not going to get an official release of this on DVD. You know, if I missed something, let me know, because I'd be very interested in that. So because of this VHS format that you're going to be seeing it on, it's got a very VHS vibe to it from all of the rips that I've seen. If any of you grew up on VHS, kind of like I did, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So you may have noticed that I mentioned that this was released over here in America on November 24th of 1998. Well, the reason I probably never heard of this is because I didn't really pay Final Fantasy V any attention, because that was released over here in 1999 with Final Fantasy Anthologies. So yeah, this sequel to Final Fantasy V was released in the States before we even had the idea of what Final Fantasy V was, you know, in an official capacity. Yes, there were ROMs, there were translations or whatever, but yeah, it's just it's really, really strange that the timing of this worked out like it did. So this is going to be a little more of a shorter video, because I'm not going to really talk about the story. I usually don't talk about the story in these Final Fantasy videos, but I will give you a few points that you may want to know before you go into it. First, do not expect a Final Fantasy feel from it. When I watched it, I don't know if it's just the time in which it was made or that I'm a big Dragon Ball fan, but this had a definite Dragon Ball feeling to it, and I guess maybe Dragon Ball Z feeling to it. I don't know if they were wanting to capitalize off of that, since it was made, you know, in the early 90s and Dragon Ball was huge then, but you will notice the color palette, the schemes, how the animation looks, it's just all very Dragon Ball-esque. And even going off of that, this does take place 200 years in the future. So while many places, kingdom names, etc. may sound familiar, the look of the world is going to be far, far different than what you might imagine from playing Final Fantasy V. But the events that happen in 5 are definitely felt in this OVA. Character references, crystals, all of that are present here, if not just a little bit different. In fact, one of the main characters is a direct descendant of bards, or if you prefer, buds. One of the really big high points of this for me personally, and what really makes this feel like a Final Fantasy piece of art, I guess if you want to call it that, many of the songs have been reworked or re-recorded, remade, whatever you want to call it, by a person by the name of Masahiko Sato. Sorry if I said that wrong. And you can hear a lot of the original tracks of Uematsu, except remade for this type of format. It's by far my favorite thing about this. and you can actually go and find the Wind and Fire soundtracks, I think is what they call it, and listen to them, without watching the movie. They are absolutely fantastic. I could not recommend that enough. Watch this, if not even just for the music. It's great. Another really interesting thing I noticed here is that there's a character named Mid, M-I-D, and if you watch my Final Fantasy IV After Years video, you're going to see that I referenced a character in there named Mid, who's the grandchild of Cid. Funny enough, this appears to actually be where that character originates from. Clearly, they're two different characters, it's two different games, Final Fantasy IV and V, but Mid in this series is the grandchild of the great Cid that we know from Final Fantasy V. Both have the same name, the same lineage. Again, they're different characters, but that origin, like you see the High Winds, the Cids, now we have the Mids, even though they don't really appear very much. Mid is the grandchild of Cid, and that's the first place you're going to see is in this OVA. And it's the little things like that that really make me love this project and, me going through all these different Final Fantasy things. I love learning little useless nuggets of information like that, so now you get to know something stupid as well. Anyway, that's about it for the Legend of the Crystals here. It's easily findable on YouTube. Like I said, it's going to be impossible right now to find it on DVD unless I'm just not aware of something that has happened recently, at least by an official transfer. So the only way you're going to legitimately watch it is to go out and find it on VHS, but let's be honest, VHS players are pretty rare nowadays. The VHS, I would imagine, would be also rare. If you're interested, I say go for it. You're not going to lose a lot of time. It's 2 hours. It's not awful, but it's not the greatest thing ever. And you don't really need to have played Final Fantasy V to understand it, though if you have played 5, you'll get the little references and stuff here and there. All I can say is just to not drive up your expectations. Like I said, it's not a masterpiece, but it's watchable, it's fine. The voice actors are actually decent as well. So there are just a few weird things that they kind of took liberties with this, such as chocobos, which kind of look like flamingos for whatever reason. And yeah, anyway, I'll end it on that note, and next time on your Final Fantasy in the month of Odin, we're going to be talking about one of the worst failures of Square ever, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. I hope you enjoy this format for this month. I actually worked pretty hard on it, and until next time, Crystal Warriors, keep on gaming.